What's up, everybody? Welcome to the channel, and the time is getting closer and closer for the March update. The newest post-patch UFL gameplay is coming, and I have exclusive tips for you. Just don't ask any questions on how I know some of these things. Take the tips, thank me later. But before I get to that, what you should be doing now, if you haven't been playing or have been playing very little like myself, you should be playing the game and getting back used to the controls, shake some of the rust off, especially if you've been playing other football games, because UFL has a very unique feel to it. eFootball and FC are not as rigid, if you will, so on the defending and attacking side, you're going to need to get used to the movement more than anything. The controls, obviously, FC and UFL are exactly the same, and for me, I even make my eFootball controls the same. But just like eFootball is vastly different from FC, UFL has a vastly different feel from both other football games. So don't come into it with rust. If you want to be successful and get this post-patch era started off with a bang, you're going to need to get in there, suffer through some of this awful gameplay, because make no mistake about it, this current state of UFL is awful. But suffer through it, get some games in. Yes, against regular opponents, not just AI. You need to get used to regular opponents and get to feel the game. Also, you can get some challenges done, get some CP built up. Next, with your squad. If you're like me and you totally let your squad go, for instance, I had every meta player, the top team you could possibly get in the game, as I felt that at the time that's where I wanted to go with my team. But as the game went on and strikers started going in wonky directions, I then sold off my team, started to do just experiments, putting players in different positions, team full of center backs, things like that. So I bought, sold a bunch of players. When you do that, you lose CP, and the only thing that you pretty much hold is your RP. So I have two options, and this is where you can go to. If you need a huge update in your squad and you totally let it go, you can simply take the RP you have, buy the players on the transfer market, and as you keep going, maybe you need to do some grinding of the game, but you simply wait until you get enough RP, replace the difference that you need with CP, by buying coins or points, whatever you want to call it, and then simply build your team that way. So you can do it with your money, or you can go the route of buying maybe not the highest level players, maybe waiting for a team full of maybe mid-level players and then boost them up. As you boost them up, you can then decide, okay, I want to keep this player, but maybe I want to replace, another player. I'll give you an example. Let's say you got Chiesa on the right side, which I just purchased, as a cheaper option that's still viable. Then at striker, you get Jackson, for instance, and you start playing the game, you're boosting them up, you're adding skill points to them, and you get to a point where you can afford, let's say, Messi on the right side, but you love how Jackson feels boosted up, similar to what I did with Udogie and Dumfries. I would never replace him for any wingbacks, even though there's like a Theo Hernandez or whoever you want to get, the highest rated wingbacks, because boosted up, they're incredible. So let's say you get Jackson boosted all the way up and you feel like, yes, I want to keep him. I don't care about Haaland or Mbappe or anybody. But on the wing, Chiesa boosted up, you still feel like you can go, better, or you just want, let's say, Messi because he's your hero and icon to you. So you end up saving up, you buy Messi, but then you already have Jackson boosted up. You don't have to worry about buying a new striker. And you simply go through like that. Now, this will take you a lot more time than putting money into it, but make no mistake about it, you do not have to go out and buy the Haalands, the Messis, the Vinnies, and all these types of players. You can absolutely boost up and make your own meta players. It's just a matter of if you want to take X amount of time to get those players all the way boosted up. Now, going on to the training part of this. With the new patch, you are absolutely going to have to get used to manual defending. If you are one of those players, right, and many of the players doing this are the rats, so if you're one of those players, what is wrong with you? Get a life, man. Is it really worth playing like this? I know the game is broken, but nonetheless, 8 guys in the box. Now you're going to have to suffer, because once you cannot just use your AI and you have to control your defenders, even with the blockade, because what we don't know, the question mark, is how the spacing and the depth will or won't be fixed. That is a game-breaking thing right there that they need to look at, hopefully that they have looked at, that's one of the answers I do not have for you. If the depth and the width, right, of the defense, which is largely what's causing such a hiccup in the game right now, if that's fixed or not will be a huge decider on how good or bad this game will be. But what we do know is AI defense will no longer be available, meaning these players who only control their midfielders and simply hold R1 when you get near their AI back 4 or back 5, those players will be toast. Now, you'll get up to those players, they'll be so used to just hitting R1, right? And you will run right around them because it's closer now with the defense AI side to what it was at the beginning of the game, where you could literally run right next to and bump a defender, and if the opponent wasn't controlling that defender, it wouldn't matter. They wouldn't make the tackle. It's going to be pretty close, if not the same as that. So those players who have been defending manually, who haven't been playing like rats, you are going to have a leg up. For those of you who just need to get used to it, maybe you're not a rat, maybe it's just, you're not that good at manual defending, and so you're overutilizing the AI. Get to practicing switching to your players, your defenders. Now look, this is going to hurt you in some games, without a doubt. You are going to get burned sometimes where you wouldn't have if you just use your AI. You are going to give up goals, maybe even lose some games, but it's a matter of preparing for this post-patch era. And the next thing you're going to want to do associated with that is work on your tactics. Much of your tactics right now are based on playing the sit-back rats, right? Playing with this broken defense with the 4 backs sitting basically on top of the goalkeeper. You need to work on a new system that is going to allow you to manually defend well and then work the ball into the attack. So that means if you are playing a 5-back and you're only utilizing it because you've been able to hold R1 and your AI makes a tackle, that no longer will be an option and you will get diced up. A 5-back just alone isn't good enough. You have to understand when and where to pressure with your defenders. Now, you have to either work on doing that manually while controlling the back, so that's what you should work on in the next few days, or you need to switch out preferably to a formation with CDMs, at least one, preferably 2, in order to be able to clog up that middle and not give up snapshot after snapshot after snapshot, which is one thing that will still be a prominent way of scoring. Simply settle and touch from the striker or winger, whoever is getting the ball. You need to make sure you are pressuring that shot. If you were used to just holding R1, what's going to happen is post-patch, muscle memory is going to kick in. You're going to hold it down. Nothing's going to happen. And then your opponent is going to score at will. Now, last but not least is passing. Much of UFL's passing up to this point is automatic. You simply press the pass button and it will lock onto one of your targets up the field, and then you move on from there. Not to mention in build-up, you don't have to be very accurate with your direction, with who you're passing to, because, again, it locks onto the next player. So, in this next version of UFL, there is going to be some variety to the passes where attributes do matter. So not only will you have to pay attention to who you are passing with, because if they have lower stats, they're more likely to have an errant pass, but you also are going to have to pay attention where you're passing the ball, how much power you're putting on the pass. And this is something that should have been in the game the whole time. The passing was just too easy, it's too automatic, and that's why it made certain players with great passing attributes null and void, because everyone could pretty much connect the passes that you needed to make. Now, they did update this a bit in the last patch, but like many of the things they fixed, it wasn't really totally fixed, or it wasn't good enough at least. Now, you are absolutely going to need to pay attention to the types of passes you're making, to the power you're putting on, to the direction. Otherwise, you're going to notice that you're playing bad passes and losing the ball time and time again. So even though without the new passing system you can't exactly practice this, you absolutely can work on the awareness of the passes you're making and understand that you have to be more consistent on the power, on the direction, more accurate with your passing in the future. It's not just going to be simply pressing the pass button and it connects automatically. That is something that will be a huge change, and for many players they will struggle. So again, be aware of these changes so the consequences aren't a lot of losing, a lot of struggling for you. For instance, you're playing a formation you only utilize, like such as a 5-back, where you hold R1 and let the AI do all the tackling. Next thing you know, you can't do that anymore. You're not pressuring right, and your opponent's scoring a ton of goals. Then, even when you do win the ball, you just randomly press the pass button knowing that it's going to connect with whichever player up the field that you happen to be pointing towards. No longer will that be an option. So if you're not used to these changes, you're going to win the ball, you're going to haphazardly just press the pass button, and now the pass is going to go too short, too long, too wide of the player, and you're just going to give it right back to your opponent over and over again. You have to then change your tactics, which is another part of this, to fit how you want to build up. What kind of passes that you can make that will suit your play style. So all of these things not only take changing on the pitch, but also tactically. Make sure you are looking at all of this. Cover all of your bases so you can hit the ground running post-patch. If you are used to attacking up the middle, you have a narrow formation such as maybe the 4-1-2-1-2 narrow, or maybe even like the 4-3-2-1. If you like to utilize the wings, you can go with any variety of formations. Maybe it's the 4-5-1, maybe it's the 4-2-3-1 wide, right? Depending on if you like 2 strikers, 1 striker, maybe you like them stacked. For instance, I am going with the 4-4-1-1 with 2 strikers stacked. I always have thought it was better than the 2 strikers next to each other, and I love the ability for the 2 strikers to work almost feeding each other as opposed to next to each other where you're looking to play one or the other through, or at the top of the box for a snapshot or a one-time shot. With that being said, to summarize what you need to do, go work on your manual defending. Go work on your passing awareness so you have a better understanding when you win the ball in this post-patch era, where you want to pass to, how you want to pass the ball, and then set up your formation and tactics accordingly so you can properly win the ball now with manual defense, so you can properly build up and create chances. Do these things and you will be able to hit the ground running with this post-patch. Like I've been saying, this update isn't anything revolutionary or groundbreaking. It's not going to give us this total new game like the FC25 update where they literally released a new, what many people call FC 25.5. This is not going to be a UFL 2.0, but there is enough changes that if you don't evolve as a player and keep up with these changes, you absolutely will struggle. So now you can go get your training grind on. Keep having fun, and I will see you on the next one. Make sure, if you haven't already, you hit subscribe. Smash the like button on this and all videos. I would appreciate it. And I will see you on the next one. Peace out.